Welcome back to Raptors Today, fans, and I'm still here, so the show's got to go on, unfortunately. Obviously, Paul Jones is still here. Jevohn Shepherd is still here by choice. All right, let's talk about Scottie Barnes, guys. Scottie Barnes he's had a great season, I feel. But now, another addition to his resume is he's selected for one of the 41 players that are selected for the U.S. training team. You know, you think about what that's done for players that we've been aware of, DeMar DeRozan, who we've seen that happen with, but just players in general who speak to being a part of that system, the U.S. Olympic system. It changes things. So how can it change things for Scottie?
I mean, for me, and I'm going to immediately jump over to our view in Canada, how we're looking ahead. 24, the Olympics are already here. We're already looking at 28. And some of the kids that haven't been part of the big pool in 24, like a Shaedon Sharpe, you're looking at them down the road. The USA is doing the same thing. And as you said, Sherm, the way it benefits guys, it's going to benefit the Raptors too. Because Scottie's going to be hanging out with LeBron and Steph and
the best of the best.
Kevin Durant. Right. It's like all the CEOs getting together, and he's going to see best practices. He's going to see, wow, this is what makes LeBron able to play until he's 5,000 years old. Like, this is why Steph is good. I've heard people going to the gym to do Steph's workout, and they can't complete it. So he's going to get a close-up look at that and be kind of welcomed into that club. And it elevates so many things for him: his play, his confidence, his knowledge about the league. It's all going to be pushed forward.
Yeah, you're alongside the best of the best, right? So right away, your habits, your routines, your practices, like you mentioned, they shift because you're alongside LeBron.
And there's a pride in there too. I can't let him think that
I'm a slacker. Like I got to get up at 4:00 in the morning and lift weights with you. And you know, Sherm, you may be able to attest to this as well. Like for us, I know for myself, when I played for the national team, whether you made the team or not, or you were invited to camp, that did something for your confidence, because right then and there you knew you were one of the best in the world. Forget just your country, but you were identified as one of the best players in the world. So I think for Scottie, and we've seen the leap that he's taken this year, but also, if you're Grant Hill and putting the team together for years to come, who are the players that have had the most success on the international stage? It's those tweeners, those 3-4 players, and think about Carmelo Anthony.
Because of the game, the way that game's played.
The way that game is played, right? They're going to have the size to contest with bigger and smaller opponents. They can shoot the basketball. They can get out into the open court. Scottie can make decisions. And the international game, FIBA game, is a lot more reads. And that's what Scottie does really well in his ability to pass over defenses. So I think it's going to bode well for the Raptors. It's going to bode well for Scottie and himself, just from a confidence standpoint. You leave training camp and you step back out into the world, the basketball world, and you're one of one. Like, I'm a guy at that point.
Yeah, and I think there's the idea of institutional knowledge that you get in those situations where everybody doesn't get it. And you not only get to hear it, you get to see it, and you get to play against it and practice against it. And then it's the homework. Are you going to take it back and put it into your stuff and make it a part of what you do? And I think this is a great situation for Scottie to be able to take his game to the next level. That flip from being good to great, it's not easy.
You get a blueprint. And I think about LeBron James having trouble winning a championship. Then he goes to Miami. And he's around Bosh, Wade, Riley, as you said, Sherm, institutional knowledge, culture. He took the blueprint back to Cleveland.
Gave it to Kyrie. Gave it to Kevin Love.
And they won.
Yep.
And they won.
There's also the competitive side, right? So as much as I'm learning from those guys while I'm in training camp, I'm also looking at the side of my eye. Okay, this is what LeBron does. This is what Kevin Durant does.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take it and apply it, and I'm going to add a little bit more to it, because the next season – I want to exceed what they do, right? So I think for Scottie, this is the perfect time. He should be chomping at the bit.
Be a copycat.
And add more.
Absolutely.
And add to it.
All right, let's talk about Scottie this season. I'm really impressed with the young man, and we saw this in his rookie season, the ability to be in the fight when the fight mattered at the end of the game. He's always had that in him. And I think if you're trying to build a star, I think they've got to want to be in those moments. They've got to relish having the spotlight on him, fail or succeed, wanting to be there. And he has that. So when you look at this season, even though the wins aren't there, what would you say about Scottie's season to this point in terms of him taking that step and now being given the keys to the car, Jevohn?
Well, for one, there's a component that's not on the court, and that's the emotional intelligence and emotional education that he's gaining along the way, right? Losing some of your veterans, losing some of your closest guys, OG, Pascal, and going through this whole transition of the Raptors organization. He's never been here before, right? He's never had to deal with this experience. But what I do like about him, you can fine tune, the ball handling. You can, work at playing more consistent for 48 minutes of a game. But the things you can't teach are, when the bright lights are on, when you need him, he steps up. There's this whole fourth quarter Scottie thing. That's something that's innate, right?
Yeah.
You can't teach that. And the fact that he's been able to come out and exude confidence in those moments says a lot to me. His shooting, the leap he's taken with his shot, and understanding it's not just he's making a higher percentage or, the shots are falling. It is the quality of the shots that he's taking that tells me a lot about his maturity.
I think there's something to be said about performing when the lights are on, when it's important. And we can think of greats in other sports, like a Tiger Woods. When the pressure's on, you just know he's going to make that putt. You just know he's going to make that shot. In baseball, when a guy is 0 for 3 and he comes up in the ninth inning with a man on third and 2 out, is that the guy you want at the plate? Is that the guy that's going to make the big play? And I think Scottie's developing some of that. And Jevohn, you talked about the off-the-court stuff with him losing people like Pascal and Precious and guys that, OG, guys that were his guys that he's known for 3 years here. It just brings into play for me something that our guy Dwayne Casey used to say. The dogs will bark, but the wagon rolls on. Like, there's going to be all kinds of noise. Can you put it behind you and just keep rolling, get to the next spot and get to where you have to be and do what you have to do?
The other side as well, and one other thing I've noticed, and again, that's some of the leadership qualities that you can start to see pierce through, is when Scottie's on the court right now, he's directing the traffic, right? And he's the vocal guy. And just something as simple as that tells me, okay, and the guys listen, right? When he speaks, when he gives direction, you can see they're all attentive. He has all their eyes, he has all their ears. Now, that in itself, again, is something you can't teach.
Right, absolutely. And I remember a young Kobe Bryant in the playoffs against Utah throwing up air balls and saying he had to go through that. So, like you said, the moment is never too big for players like that are innately developed for the moment. And I think Scottie's one of those guys. All right, let's hear from Scottie today after practice.
That 41-man long rush for USA basketball, what would it mean to you to get further along in the process?
It's an honor to be selected with those group of guys. Hopefully I'm able to participate with them this summer. But if not, I'll just hope for it in the future.
You've played for, obviously, your country at the under-18 levels, other levels. How different is it than the NBA, and what do you like about it?
I would just say, I was younger, so I played for the U15, U16, U19. It was incredible being able to go overseas, just see what the basketball is like, see what the time is like, just seeing all the different brands of basketball, how other teams play, and how they, how fundamental they are. It was fun. It was physical. It was a great experience. It's something that I look forward to doing in the future.